Hello, everyone. This is Kathleen for the Poetic Dimension, Poetry Beyond the Box, with Erik Estabrook and various other complex minds. Welcome, Erik. Thanks so much for doing your show for us.
Hey, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
So you have with you today a few other poets. You want to introduce them?
Oh, yes. To my very left is Thomas Jane.
Welcome, Thomas.
Thomas James.
All right.
And past you, Kathleen. To my other left is CarolAnn Edscorn, both great poets, panelists, and readers today.
Yes. And we also have a poem that was submitted by a friend of ours who's a fabulous artist and poet in Germany. And unfortunately, it's about 2 o'clock in the morning there, so I told her I would read it for your session this evening.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
are we going to go ahead and get to it then?
I think so. There we go. Are you seeing it on the main screen?
Yeah.
Okay. And we actually talked about a theme for this show, Erik, and the theme was going to be in the beginning. So actually she titled her poem. This is from, again, G. Vero. In the beginning. In the beginning, there's always the end. A heart has to be broken before it can mend. A body has to ache before it can shine. A life has to be earned before it can be mine. In the beginning, there is always the fear where the unknown whispers, I am near. But we have to see past all things dark to see in the end that single bright spark. The beginning is where it will always end. But I will be there for you, my friend, no matter how dark the world will be. I will shine that light for you to see. In the end, it is where it all begins, forgotten all tears, all pains, all sins, washed free of anger, lies, and hatred. The right path now lies straight ahead. Life is a circle, no beginning, no end. What we make of it lies in our own hand. What we do defines who we are. The beginning and the end, never far. So that's In the Beginning by G. Vero. Thoughts on that, Erik?
Just an incredibly insightful poem. I would have to say that she took that in the beginning topic and you could tell where she was going with it the whole time. It's a lot of life journey moments in the poem. There's a lot of insight into what to ignore, what to do in your life, and philosophy on how to live, and a lot of uplifting messages in there. I personally like the verses.
Are you guys?
Yeah, Carol?
Yeah, I'm getting like 3 voices. I'm getting a recording, and I'm getting the live feed.
I hear them fine.
Yes,
I hear everything fine too.
Yeah, that sounds to me, CarolAnn, like you've got a couple of browser windows open on your computer. So you might want to check to see if you have a few things open. Okay, Erik, why don't you go ahead?
Okay, so I really like the expression she makes in a lot of the poems where she takes a positive spin to something negative happened, and the parallel between the beginning is where it ends and the ending is where it begins. I think a lot of us took that route, at least to some effect, in this topic.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting twist, which is surprising to me how we all landed that twist somewhere in our writing. It's an interesting thing because to me it's kind of an atypical way of thinking, but we tend to be like-minded a lot, the poets on here, and so there's always parallels that you can draw. My favorite, I love the last 4 verses the most of that poem. They're just breathtaking. I don't know if you want me to read them, but I'd like to.
Sure, go right ahead.
So it goes, life is a circle, no beginning, no end. What we make of it lies in our own hand. What we do defines who we are. The beginning and the end never far. That is just about as impactful as we probably could get in the subject matter, and it really ties it all together nice. And I agree with almost every statement she made. Our destiny does lie in our own hand. What we do defines who we are. It's hard to argue such
truisms.
Yeah, they seem like, who would argue with that? Those statements, right? I mean, someone that was crazy, maybe. I don't know.
Being in the eye of the beholder, yes.
Yeah, so it was a very likable, agreeable poem, and she did great with the topic, I think.
I agree with you. I agree with you. CarolAnn, did you have anything that you wanted to share about this poem?
Well, I read it earlier today, and I wanted to get out my guitar and make a song to it, because it just all seemed very, very balanced and very accessible, and yet it still addresses a deep spiritual side of us where everything can be transformed if we choose it. I tend not to see beginnings and endings. I kind of see a whirlpool. But I think if I think in terms of shoelaces or concrete, tactile things, I can think beginning and ends. But the way she addresses it in terms of lifetime moments, you know, the broken heart, the aching body, well, I can certainly relate to those. I never thought of them as beginning or endings. I just thought of them as part of the Play-Doh of life, you know. So it's revelatory in that respect. If you just read it really quickly, it would say, oh yeah, of course, life is a circle, the circle of life, the Lion King, you know, and everything. But you have to really read it and see or hear. I like closing my eyes and listening to poems better. That it's actually together. It's very tight word-wise. It's very tight word-wise.
Agreed. Tom, did you have anything that you wanted to share?
Yeah, I agree with Erik. I mean, it just speaks so many truths, and I think they talk about universal truths. It's those things. When you don't hear them, it's sort of like are nails on a chalkboard, and there's nothing in here that's in there. I mean, everything makes sense. Everything's consistent. It talks about the life journey that we all go through in the beginnings. The beginnings and pain that we've had, and we always have that opportunity to move through things and start new beginnings. And the end is where it all begins. So it's positive. To me, it's very positive, and life is a circle, though. Confuses me a little. I don't know if it's does it come full circle in this life? I don't know, but
right, yeah.
It does come full circle, but it doesn't seem that way now. But I believe it does. So.
Well, I think it's really, really interesting that part of the title of this little soiree that we do is the existence of complex minds, and it's interesting that we're going from a linear thought on beginning and end to the fact that the present moment, and we're starting to take a look at consciousness and the fact that there really is only projections forward and backward, and the only reality we have is this moment. And lots of current spiritual works, or they don't even call them spiritual anymore, just new thought, tend to revolve around that, the fact that of the present moment, and this is a constant new beginning, and really an end if we want it to be. So, pretty intriguing.
Yeah.
So that was a great poem by our friend G. Vero, who we truly appreciate, who comes to us from Germany.
Maybe we're going to do 1 or 2 in the morning here just for her.
Oh, that would be lovely. I would love to do that. Are you serious?
I don't
Yeah,
care.
yeah, I'm a night person, sure.
Well,
I'll
okay.
be sound asleep. I'm gonna...
I kiss Erik goodbye on that one. Okay, for now, Erik, we have your missing pieces.
Okay, so this is Missing Pieces, and I'll begin. The dawn will always be a timeless chaperone, perusing over your shoulder at your mistakes, wondering if for some unstaged moment both of you could artfully dodge fate. To follow a phalanx of signs, to know the beginning from the start, yet still the puzzled face. Time interacts without apprehension. Being without time is a victimless crime. You see, we never had it to begin with. Some people are without a beginning, and some are without an end. We like to think it's all tied up neatly, but in every sentence there is a punctuation, a happenstance that chills or bewilders, a chainsaw that throws off this thrill ride, a point of dissension that enhances or stains every bit of a followed life. Turn your troubles into blessings and solve your problems. Make your beliefs ones that strengthen. Do not lead me into superstition, for a rooted tree won't move by wind alone, yet a fragmented blossom too can be whole. It just has to seek the parts that promote unity. So draw me a picture not fit for a frame, distract me with a proposition of a fatal blow, arouse me with an end enticing. But in the beginning, one power has the memory and name. Some are without beginning, and I put not people because I'm actually switching subjects, are without end, but we all are remembered. Thoughts? Or do you want me to explain stuff before thoughts, or what?
Tom, do you have anything that you want to say, or you want to hear some explanation first?
Yeah, you know, listen, your imagery, and I apologize, I haven't read them in advance, but every line I could probably spend an hour just thinking about. I mean, they're just it's so beautiful. And
vivid, yeah.
Yeah, definitely vivid, and I do enjoy them. I mean, it says a lot of stuff, and the truth comes through in every line, but the imagery that the metaphoric imagery that you produce to show that is just well, I'm sure you've had enough compliments, but it's spectacular. So,
CarolAnn, did you have anything that you wanted to share?
It's just that, Erik, you just seem to be able to take all these big things, these huge concepts, and distill it down into a couple of lines of poetry. And it's just amazing to me. And it's like, you're not really old, but there's a lot of phrases like the artful dodging and phalanx of signs, and they're actually phrases that are part of our culture, that are from films and books. And I don't know how much you're aware of how often you do, like the fatal blow and stuff, but one of the things I really, where is it? To know the beginning from the start in the second stanza, that to me was a lot of people think that when they start, they're beginning something. But a lot of times, if you're joining in a community especially, or if you're in a family, you start to think about something, but maybe somebody else has already started. And so it's just a continuum instead of a beginning with some sort of definitive end. And so I like the way you juxtapose the concrete, the signs, the picture. One of the other, there's a couple in there that are concrete images, and you use words to take them into a spiritual understanding of how to interact with your thoughts and with your heart. Yeah.
Very interesting. So, Erik, how does that align with what you were thinking as you were actually writing the piece?
You know, I was about halfway through revising a rough draft. Revising the rough draft, and I was kind of like, I kind of sound like I'm some kind of like journalist, like chronologically talking about a crime or something, almost. So I did, I can't do like one cohesive subject. So I changed it up halfway. Like the first three stanzas are kind of about knowing happenstance and knowing where you are in life, being prepared for leaps and struggles and things like that. And the rest of it is kind of just, I don't know, some of it is rebelling against having to write about in the beginning a little bit. And, when I put in the beginning, one power has the memory or name, that's basically praising God. And I put not people before, but we all are remembered, because I don't want to say like people are without end, because we're not. But I don't, in that sense of what I'm following up with, we're not without end. I wanted to transition into saying that someone always remembers us, and that's God, and that, even though we might think we've like reached a peak or an end or a valley, there's always somewhere else to go, somewhere else to travel. There's always someone that can say, do a login for you, be like, I knew that person or whatever. There's never anything that's just in vain. Everything a person does is remembered. Everything a person does is cataloged. So I think that's just more circumstance for people that really care about their surroundings.
That's interesting. I cannot remember where I got this quote from, who said this, but we're all in the process of becoming. As long as we're in physical form, we're all in the process of becoming. No beginning, no end. We're just in process. Which is, again, another way of saying the eternal now. And one of the things about this poem that really spoke to me was, so draw me a picture not fit for a frame. To me, that was intriguing.
Yes,
yes. Distract me with the proposition of a fatal blow, and arouse me with an end enticing. It's almost like it's playful, taking a look at the inevitable physical outcome. It's like, I'm standing back and I'm observing, and the good, the bad, the indifferent, it doesn't really matter. It is truly a show, and I don't mean that to take life lightly, but in the big scheme of things, when we really step back, it really is the play of consciousness. And I thought that was a really interesting part of this piece.
Yeah. And that's like the rebellious part of the poem, I guess. I don't know if you want to call it rebellious. It's kind of the edgy part of the poem, really. Kind of like laying it out there. Like, a person could take that in a negative way. That's probably the only part of the poem a person could take in a negative way, maybe.
Well, I'm going to jump in one more time, but sometimes I just can't keep quiet. If we don't observe what it is we're not liking, then there is nothing to do. There is no purpose. There is no reason. If there is no change, if there's nothing that we're helping along, if we don't have purpose, we lose our joy, I think.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be a reason. There has to be something for us to be part of.
Mm-hmm.
Can I say something?
Sure, please.
Now that I've read it several times, I love the beginning part says to me, time marches on, no matter what you're doing, you're there. But then, the choice is, we pick our defining moments. And Erik, I think, is saying, give it all to me, and test me and let me get through it. And I love that. It just says what life is. You know, it keeps moving and it throws everything at you, and you give so many choices which way to go, and you show them all, and that's it. The question I have is, do not lead me into superstition. What is that a reference to anything?
I don't know, because I don't know. In actuality, the real root of that is feeling that I would have had to write, thinking that the possibility of having to write about Scientology or something would just, I would never do, you know?
Right.
Like, if I had to write about some offbeat religion or something, I would be like, oh, no.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was attack on all religion or just Scientology. I enjoyed it.
That's interesting. Let me throw my 2 cents worth in on that. What was the line again, Tom?
Do not lead me into superstition.
Do not lead me into superstition. Can superstition be applied to anything that we have held on to? That's a mind construct. That's not really real and relevant in the moment, no matter what it is. It can be religion. It can be, I don't know, anything that we just clench and hold on to.
Yeah, any dogmatic.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, not even dogmatic or spiritual or religion. A superstition that's in our brain, like, could be a false logic. Like I posted the other night, a false syllogism, and only one person called me out on it. I said, "People are idiots. I am a person, therefore I am an idiot." Right?
Well, we can play all kinds of games, yeah.
Well, yeah. But the thing is that all people are not idiots, but there's a lot of people that have those kinds of beliefs, and that's a superstition. Anything that is a false a false belief about people, about creation, is superstition.
Prejudices, all those things. Yeah.
We have a lot of superstitions about ourselves.
That's it too. Yeah.
Okay.
Especially, if somebody is, say, coming out of an abused childhood, nobody loves me, everybody hates me.
Sure.
That's a superstition. It's a false premise.
Yeah.
Okay. Eric, anything else that you want to leave us with before we move on?
No, just to quickly point out how these poems and some of our poems that people are going to read, my poem here also has a part which is some people are without a beginning and some are without an end. Just to point that out, that's going to be a commonality, right? I mean, between all of our poems, at least most of them, almost all of them.
Could be, yeah.
Is that a reference to being lost, or is it just a reference to us being eternal?
That, I guess it would be a reference to being eternal. I wanted people to feel like they're in control of their destiny, and also that they're appreciated, and kind of get a surrounding with that verse, like you can do what you want, the only thing that's between you is God and time, and hopefully we have plenty of both,
Okay. Very nice. Thank you, Eric.
Oh, you're welcome.
CarolAnn, you sent some beautiful images to go with your first poem, Believability. You want to tell us a little bit about this first, or should we just go into the poetry?
Well, I think in order to be honest, I didn't know there was a theme.
Okay.
Okay.
I didn't know about in the beginning. However,
you didn't get the memo.
I didn't get the memo.
Okay.
However, life being what it is for us, it's about spring. It's about spring, and so these are all first signs of spring up here in New Hampshire. The apple blossom is on. I bought trees for each of my children. and so every fall I get apples from their trees. And there's the pink lady slipper, which is actually kind of sort of rare, but it was just sitting right next to me. And Jack in the Pulpit, which grows in like herds. Like when you get one, it just kind of keeps getting bigger and bigger. And then the bluets are mayflowers. They're right after the snowdrops and the crocuses, and before everything else. And they last pretty much the whole month of May and into June. And they're also called mayflowers. And I just found out they're also called Quaker ladies. So I'm like, okay, whatever. But these are all pictures from my the woods around my yard. And I was just so happy to see them.
Spring is here. Or
Spring
summer.
is really here, yeah.
Even though I'm sure it's like 40 degrees up there now.
Yeah, it's 45 tonight. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's cold up here.
Yeah.
Need to relocate. Hot.
Yeah, so I am.
It's been a long cold spell for like 8 months now.
Yeah.
I'm
Yes.
tired of it.
Yes.
Okay, so believability.
So you can catch that this is actually about beginnings here.
Awesome.
There's diversity in community, and it reflects originality, bursting creativity. Now hold that thought. I'm driving home. Hold that idea. So many journals bought, and not one is in my car. It's hilarity. A writer without paper for bursting creativity. Now hold that thought. Repeat the lines and the rhymes. Diversity everywhere. Worshipping congregation, elders and youth, children, newborn cooing. Look at that. Lovers wooing right here in church. Sweet. All the colors, the clothing, the styles, even different smiles. Smile diversity. Backyard plants blooming, trillium, Jack in the Pulpit, pink lady slippers, violets, hosta, lilacs, peppermint, lavender. Oh dear. All this diversity right here and near and beautiful. Backyard trees blooming, tall pines, oak, maple, even honeylocust, which are edible. Extraordinarily incredible. A wilderness diversity, flora and fauna. Even twinkling stars shine in their differences. Why cannot we? Ta-da!
Beautiful.
That makes a wonderful point at the end, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like it all fed into that one set of lines. Yeah.
Yeah. So being a little bit different is not out of order, is it?
No.
Yeah.
Everything's different.
Everything
is different except for the things people don't accept from other people. I mean, it's kind of like, to me, I'm almost like, it makes me wonder just what is standing in people's ways that they just can't see what they don't understand about other people almost.
We tend to find what it is we're looking for. If we're looking for reasons to be offended by other people, we will find them. And if we're looking for ways to come together, we'll find those too.
But at the same time, I see one of the points in here is nature accepts differences, or at least they allow differences, right?
Right.
Nature allows differences in other plants, and I guess it's kind of like, well, I guess probably man and woman's ability to assert dominion over things won't allow people to embrace things that they think are strange or off or don't fit in. I guess nature can't really tell another plant, you're bothering me, go away, right? Or like, you're ugly, what are you doing next to me? It's up to people to do that, right?
Yes, and people do like to try and train even wildlife to behave a certain way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not in one of the Aramaic translations of the Genesis thing. It's not dominion over the earth, but stewardship over the earth.
Yes. That is the problem.
That's a radically different concept.
Yeah.
But yeah, Eric, you got it, because I was drawing the parallel between, there's all these people who are flowers and trees and bushes, just like there's flowers and trees and bushes. They're all different, and if we would allow ourselves to just be like nature, to reflect that light, you know, we could all just, it would be so, I don't know. I know greater minds than mine have addressed the concept of why we had Jesus and Buddha and Lao Tse and all sorts of people over the millennium, and humans still insist on fighting one another, and it's a really harsh one to try to contemplate.
Tom, go.
There's, you know, I feel, I mean, there's just so much pain. I mean, we're all different, and we've all been through it, and why do they want us to change? For their comfort. And you have to find it in within yourself. I mean, you know, you talk about Jesus. I mean, he got the shit kicked out of him. I mean, he was different. Einstein, you know, they wanted to vilify him for the way he was thinking. You know, everything great in us is scary to the rest of the world, because they need the comfort. They're the hens picking out the different chicken, you know, the different hen. So you can't. I mean, this is the way I see it. As everybody, they have to be comfortable with who they are and love yourself, and not be defined by the way someone else is uncomfortable with it. I mean, there's greatness in both of you, and that's the strength that you need. I see so much hurt and trying to, you know, everything in the world is different. Why can't I be different? Well, yeah, I am different. So, you know, if someone else can't deal with it, then you wipe the dust from your feet and go somewhere else. I'm sorry. That's the way I read it. I feel, and I felt it. I mean, I felt it my whole life, and finally, in a certain moment, listen, you've raised a family, you have a beautiful house, you write poetry, you play music. Who do you have to prove to anything? Anybody. You got to wait for the rest of the world to come and say, "Oh, we accept you." That's.
That's not. If you're addressing that to me, that's not in my.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
All
right. That's not my. Whoops! I'm moving my.
I just saw pain.
Hi.
But.
Of course, there's lots of pain. Pain's a four-letter word, just like love.
Yes, I agree.
Eric, any final thoughts on that one?
Just that it brings something for all of us to contemplate, is that, you know, we need to think about seeing other people for what they are, and seeing other people as the same as you, even if they're different, as a brother and a friend, or a sister and a friend, or just something other than something to peck out of order or put in place, or, you know, all the negative things that people share don't need to be shared. It can just be, you know, positive, accepting things, you know.
Well, and not only just even though they were a certain way, in particular because they are different, it really increases their value.
Right. I like differences, but in a practical thing, like if somebody at work the other night was complaining about their job and complaining about corporate levels, and I just had to turn that around. So I just says, well, you know, kind of look at it in the long run of what goes around comes around. So, you know, just have a beautiful night at work. And the guy looked at me like I was crazy. How can you have a beautiful night at work when the world is in pain? And I'm going like, well, it's a choice. Yeah, make your choice. Make your blessings your choice. Yeah.
Very true. Okay, Mr. Eric, the realms of fixed revolution.
Yeah, and while I was thinking about what to say for this one, its alternate title is People in Orbit. I thought that would be awesome.
Oh, I should put that under there. That's pretty good.
Yeah. So
People in Orbit. I'm sorry.
So the realms of fiction. Okay, so I'll read now. The realms of fixed revolution. Space, a beginning fast and blurred, held up to truth's light faster than flesh can fly and a fish can fry. A beginning already full of judgments. Earth, a beginning slow and curved, as complex and terminal as the human condition is, a destined revolution made in a scheme, through heartache and retribution. A dry mountain, a fertile plain, a man-made lake with acid rain as its base. Space, and I'm to give you a captivating beginning, a tantalizing middle, and a shocking end, to things as complex as 5 gods making weapons and equations at the same time. Humans, a plant here nurtured into existence, while its consumer being hurled into existence. We consciously lie as club-footed bowlers, presumed as nothing but determined to matter. The vigor in life and death being such as if the cosmos has blessed us with the internal condition to live forever in a year. And never have we felt better than in the absence of thought and lack of being able to point out the billions of beauteous happenings that pass through one lens in 1 microsecond. Love life for its life.
Wow.
So
Tom, you're ready.
No, I want to use beauteous in a poem. But Erik already did it. I would feel.
See, you can't make everyone happy.
You got to explain it. I mean, I haven't read it that many times. There's a lot going on.
There is a lot going on. A lot going on.
You want to talk through it first, Erik?
Yeah, I'll talk through it first. It's pretty complex. I wanted to describe how a person can relate to all of its surroundings. The beginning actually was kind of a creation story, actually, kind of like the creation story, only my interpretation on it with space. And Earth was my just opinion on how Earth relates to space and how I see Earth in general. The last 3 verses were my opinions on how mankind treats Earth, with the dry mountain, a fertile plain, a man-made lake with acid rain as its base. I go to space again after that verse, where I'm kind of overwhelmed about how to describe all of space, and kind of give in the saying it's too complex, but I'll describe it anyways, because I'm not like, I don't know, it felt easy to give a valid explanation without an overlapping, over-convoluted explanation. And then there's humans. After that, it's different perspectives on what it means to be alive, and kind of a folly in life, and how people fall in life, kind of a folly in how of self-pride and how that works. And then it moves on with the past presumed as nothing but determined to matter in the final verses, which are pretty much all about look around you and just try to point out reasons to be happy.
Right.
We let so much pass by. Some of it is because an inability to process all that, because we don't have God minds. Others is because we choose to do other things, even if they may not spiritually benefit us. So that's where I was coming from with that. And love life for its life is exactly as simple as I wanted it to be. It means exactly what it says. There's no hidden agenda.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much a broad-based example of where I was coming from.
Yeah, I get it. I think it's great. I like the way you go from space to Earth and back to the infinite of space, and then take it to the micro of humans and how we're messing it up. We consciously lie as club-footed bowlers. What is that? We're just rolling stuff in the wrong direction. We're going in the wrong direction, or
I was thinking of someone that really wants to get a strike, only they can't move correctly.
right?
And someone that's just like bowling constantly, but they'll never have the ability to be good at bowling. 'Cause, you know, someone with club foot, they're going to be tripping all over the aisles and all that. So that was my little example of kind of what it's like to mess up in life over and over again. And I kind of use it also to describe a point as a negative attitude kind of makes someone a club-footed bowler because they're tripping over their own obstacles.
Right.
Mm-hmm. My favorite line is presumed is nothing but determined to matter. I think that we all want to live our lives as though something that we're doing matters. I think that's really core principle to our happiness.
And it kind of, you know, I think it's true to a certain extent. Aren't we all presumed as nothing? Like we're something to our parents and whatever, but we're all not like, it's not like, hey, here's the new book. We haven't advanced far enough in science where everyone knows what you're going to do in your life when you're a baby. So it's not like, it's just like, hey, there's a baby. You're not presumed as really anything. You're not like the baby that invented this or that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think that we're the ones who are actually doing the presuming.
Yeah.
And we eventually become aware in this life that you know, of our own potential and I don't know. CarolAnn, your thoughts?
I really I don't have a lot of comments on this. I read it a couple of times this afternoon, and of course, for my generation, space, the final frontier. You know, I see the word space, and I expected Erik to keep writing about Star Trek, but he didn't, or maybe he did. I don't. You know, I like the way it weaves back and forth: human, space, space, human. Looking at the judgment, but look at the blessings. And to me, if that's one thing I could pass on to my children. And they seem to be getting it, is that life can hand you quite a few dry mountains and acid rain lakes. But if you take control of, not control, that word has too many connotations, but choose and observe and perceive the blessings, then those will be right alongside you. And as you perceive the blessings, whether it's at work or in family or the idiot people driving on the highway, you know, oh, I'm still alive. That's a blessing. You know, that's, to me, Erik's stuff is continually about transformation. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much, Erik. That was another very complex piece.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the challenge for next month, Erik, needs to be how simple can you write?
Oh.
No.
Tom, you need to get classes on that one.
That's kind of frightening. I'll just like do what amateurs do and make a one-word poem.
Yeah.
That would be like we actually have a show for that month. What the? He just put hi and then he left.
Oh my God!
Hola.
What is
Okay, CarolAnn, we have transfiguration deviation.
Right. Basically, am I going to sit in what I perceive as the negative, or am I going to turn the corner? So, winter travails. Pain is a daisy, is a dandelion, is a rose, is a sunflower with a broken stem. Pain is a coffee mug, teacup, Stein. Sorry. Can I start over? Because, boy, that just really didn't fit
Go
my
right
brain
ahead.
too well.
Sure.
Thank you, dear. Winter travails. Pain is a daisy, is a dandelion, is a rose, a sunflower, a broken stem. Pain is a coffee mug, teacup, beer stein, crystal goblet, cracked pot. Pain is a car dent, a quilt rent, torn, a light bulb's shattered filament, reduced value. Reversed, pain teaches, pain informs, pain transforms, added value, inclusion, acceptance, patience, kindness, transfiguration. Learn to laugh, and pain runs away.
I like the turn of that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Now, this one is more personal than, I mean, sometimes poems are things that you observe and you interact with the observations, but this is more reflective on the past 30 years of my life, learning that pain is actually a good joke.
Don't know about what to think of that. Eric, your thoughts?
Considering that Kathleen just passed, I'll have to make up and give my thoughts.
I like how it turned out.
Yeah, honestly, it's a pretty good transition to the things that are painful are that you describe as pain at the end of every verse really are kind of things that, you know, I kind of would relate to pain, actually. You know, they're just correlative things, and it's a good transition in between you're adding the pain. I get that you're adding the pain to the last object because it doesn't start out as painful things. A daisy alone isn't painful. A dandelion isn't painful. But you add a broken stem to all of those, and you're like, oh, yeah, that's painful. So
Disappointment gone awry.
Yeah, so I get that, and it reads well. It reads really well. And you always read the poems themselves so well. I enjoyed it just because, like I said, it's very cohesive, and it also teaches a lesson.
I'm glad you mentioned out how they sound, because yes, CarolAnn's poetry always has a very musical quality to it.
Yeah, that's a huge part of poetry, is not only how it reads on paper, how it translates with your voice, which not everyone gets to translate it with their voice, but if you can't translate it with its voice, also it's musicality. They call it musicality in poetry, but it's basically just the art of having everything be cohesive and have the right rhythm and look well. And he always does that pretty well.
It's a specific style, too. I want to point that out, because not all poetry has to have this quality, but yours is very, very aesthetically pleasing in that respect.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tom? Transfiguration Deviation sounds like a Led Zeppelin song. I like the way it builds. And then it turns around. I like reduced value is a big pain. You know, builds to that, and then and then the question of reverse. You know, you can reverse it and make it into a positive. What you did. So I do like that.
Yes.
It does a lot.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, CarolAnn. That's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's almost as if you're doing a math equation in this one at the same time. It's almost as if it's a word equation.
Okay.
Yeah.
You balance out. Okay.
Yeah.
I hear that.
It.
Huh. Alrighty. One more this evening, and we end with In the Beginning.
Yeah. I just spoke to Kathleen today, and she said we're writing about it in the beginning, so I try to put something together.
Yeah, and he sent it to me, and I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah, I thought she said crap. I said, okay, I'll see you next week.
No, that's as strong as my language gets. That's really good.
Yeah. So anyway, in the beginning there was no beginning, I believe. The Word has always existed in an infinite eternity. The light we see with telescopes is just a blip in an endless sea. The moment in time of our universe will come and go, endlessly repeating itself, always a different show. The Alpha and Omega have been stated by one who knows, is the only constant that repeats itself as the heavens flow. The beginning is the end, but only till it happens once again. Never starting or ending is the divine plan. I think the point of it all is not how did it start. Knowing where I was born won't help me play my part. It's about where I am right now, being all I can be. Living in this moment is all that really concerns me. So I'll let the scientists and philosophers find the answers they seek. I'll just be enjoying the moment I'm in, but that's just me.
Nice. So nice.
That was awesome. Yeah. That was
How long did it take you to write that, Tom?
No.
20 minutes?
No, not at all. I spoke to you, Kathleen, and then I do a lot of stuff in the car because it's quiet and there's no one around me,
Right.
and I try to pay attention to the road. And then I get all the phrases, and I just, I try to get the truths that I see, and then I try to make it cohesive, and that's my process. Really.
Yeah. CarolAnn, you had thoughts, I can tell.
And it talks about God to me, and all those things all those things we all know. All those things that Jesus wrote about and talked about, and those universal truths that I think that are in every one of us that we let disappear in mindless stuff or in fear and those things. But I think listen, it touches. I mean, from your reactions, it touches both of you because that these things are in you, and it's not, I don't feel it's proprietary. It's what connects us all.
But it's clear, and that's the proprietary. If there is a proprietariness to it, it's clear. Like some of Rumi's stuff is just you read and it's like
that's exactly
just there.
Funny.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, CarolAnn. Go ahead.
No, I was just thinking, and aesthetic quotes, and but how can you? One of the things that's really cool about poetry, as opposed to narrative, for me, is that one can condense eternity. In the beginning was the Word. There was no beginning. The light we see is just a blip. It's just a blip. And so you take the big stuff, and then it's a blip. And then you keep going, and it's where I am now. And so many people are like, oh, well, I was born in Boston, so I love the Red Sox. Or I was, I'm from South Carolina, so it's Duke University Blue Devils. And people get all, they identify, like you said earlier, Tom, about being comfortable with a set of events, with images, whatever is a part of their lives. I mean, I got in trouble going to sport games because I rooted for both sides.
Yeah, just for the game. Yeah.
So just it was fun to root for both sides.
I do the same thing.
Got a lot of I go to funerals and I smile and laugh because funerals are actually cool. You say goodbye, have a nice trip. Right. But
continuation.
But other people are they're uncomfortable with that, and so when you see the thing is that he's seeing the big picture, he's presenting the big picture. And it sounds really big. In the beginning, the Word and God and constant flow, the heavens flow. But then he just brings it right down. And I'm just going to enjoy the moment I'm in. That's just me.
Yeah, I'm going to jump right in. My favorite book.
I love it when it's...
Go ahead.
Yeah.
The beginning is the end, but only till it happens once again.
Go ahead.
That's a thing of beauty right there.
Yes.
Your thoughts on that, Erik? Erik, the beginning is the end, but only till it happens once again.
Just actually thinking about that. That's about as joyful of a statement to someone that contemplates the meaning of life as we've exerted today, I would say. It kind of gives a very hopeful, positive attitude to why we all toil in life. And it's a very philosophical statement, and one of the things I love is because you demonstrate your wit and then you step back from it, you know, and use your personality and your humanity, because it takes a real wise person to show those expansion attitudes, show that ability, and then back off away from it and then display who you are and say that you're comfortable who you are, because it's very easily a poem that could strike admiration, but you're shifting away from that in the ending, you know, and I think that's just shows that you're wise, honestly.
Shows that I'm what?
Wise.
Wise. Yeah. He's your wise guy.
Crap, and I'm a wise guy.
I don't know. The beginning is the end, but only till it happens once again. To me, that's incredibly freeing. It's freeing because, you know, in the it's just.
Well, I can't say it's mine. I mean, if you know, if you read the Bible, I mean, you know, it's really just Jesus. I mean, he says, you know, why worry about you'll know what the end is if you know what the beginning is. So it all, you know, I feel that we're extensions of God. We're all put out, and sort of like it mirrors the Big Bang, but we all do come back, and as we come back together, the end will be what the beginning was, and then it will just keep happening again and again and again, and each time, you know, for eternity, which is fine with me. I mean, so it's all about the journey, and you know, it occupies the time, which is good.
Well, the reason I say it's freeing is because it eliminates fear.
Well, listen, fear is so.
When you understand what you just wrote here,
it does eliminate fear, because people fear finiteness.
Yes.
They fear the expanse, the eternity of space. But I mean, intellectually, you live for 100 years in 17 billion years. What's the difference? You know, so this you know, the way I understand the Bible and the Quran and the things I've read, it's that it is eternal. So I don't fear it. I don't fear death at all, because there are just too many things out there that are too perfect. I don't fear any of it. And the infinite of space. I mean, you know, you go down, you travel across the country, and it's like, well, how can we be, you know, a billion light years from something? You know, that's, you know, so intellectually it doesn't. You can't grasp it, but if you understand this and you understand Jesus, then it releases you from that fear of eternity and infinity. So.
And I'm sorry.
No, sorry. You go, Carol.
And not just the bigness and that end of it, but people also fear the things that are really close, that are too close, that close them in, that imprison them. I mean, you know, it's I'm afraid of arthritis, I'm afraid of diabetes, I'm afraid of cancer, because it's in our faces all the time. What these things are, but they're just as big and small as the stars in the galaxy. So to be at peace as a child of the universe, that's the choice.
Yeah, definitely.
To the extent that we grasp that, we have the power to mold and shape our present and our future, and possibly even our past. I don't know.
Yeah, well, my belief is that everybody has a mission to live it bravely, and getting rid of those fears and things like that. So my belief is that there's a fork in every road, and every second that you take, and there's a decision, and there's a path that you know, maybe painful to take, but you know it's the right path. I think within all of us, we could always look back and say, I should have done that, and because I did this, it caused much more pain. You know, if I stay, there will be trouble. If I leave, it will be double. So it's the path that you take. I mean, so we're all sort of responsible for our lives, and we choose to you know. I can't say that I blame anybody for anything that's done to me. I mean, I have responsibility in everything I do, every choice, or I try to. I mean, and I've spent a life blaming everybody. You know, it's not something that comes easy, but ultimately, I believe we have choices.
Yeah, you say responsibility, and that's also freedom
Yeah.
when we really, really, really analyze it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because then there's no one to blame in it. You know, I can't blame anybody for anything that goes wrong. You know, just acceptance and move on.
No, you can.
But that's more Jesus. That's the Bible. You know, I'm not inventing these things. They're out there.
Very true. You just have a really, really cool way of condensing them and putting them into a very tight form, which is pretty fun to read.
I never know. I think it's like everybody. You know, it's like you go into that consciousness and I don't know. It's like, I keep saying, like Neil Young when he writes a song, he says, I don't know what I wrote, but they're like the most meaningful things I've ever, or Bob Dylan, the most meaningful things I've ever heard in my life. So,
so
it's just trying to get to that point, and I get it in a car when everything else fades away and I don't hear anybody else, or in the woods walking, or so I'm sure you tap it in some way that you get your zones, you know, both all of you. So that's what I try to get.
So four very different poets, four very different takes on In the Beginning. And Carol's, yours was inadvertent, but it's still there.
Yeah. Carol was somewhere near the beginning.
Yeah.
She was somewhere near the beginning, just off a little bit.
Yeah, no, it was all perfectly fine. So all good stuff. And thanks again to G. Vero, our friend in Germany. We're going to have to coordinate something. Erik, we might have to get you some coffee or some, I don't know.
You're not going to get me up at 2 in the morning unless you kidnap me.
Well, it's 2. There's 6 hours or 7 hours. You know, even if you do it at
6 hours.
If you do it at 8, if you do it at 10, it's 6 or whatever.
Yeah, we have to play with that a little.
One afternoon.
What's the latest for you, Erik? I've a sneaking suspicion that won't get it either, Tom. You're pushing it right now, aren't you, Erik?
Here is pretty. Right now, the time we did this show is pretty much the latest. I'm usually fast asleep at 7 o'clock.
Wow.
I know.
What time do you get up?
4.
Oh, okay.
So we'll figure something out because we definitely want to have Gia participate.
Wow.
Yeah.
So maybe we could do it at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
I could do that. We'll work it out. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Erik. You want to sign us off?
Okay. Well, thank you for all the poets. Thanks for Kathleen for setting this up. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Carol. It's been an enlightening, fun hour and about 6 minutes. So until next time, we hope you all enjoyed this podcast, and we'll be back for some more.
Thank you, Erik. Bye for now.
Good night, guys.